So we had no idea that anything was happening with Evelyn, that she had special needs, that she had Emanuel syndrome, all the things that we knew now. We were just excited parents. It was, we went in on July 4th, so watched fireworks from the hospital room, and we were super excited to meet our daughter probably, the next day or two. And after a relatively normal delivery, Evelyn came, and, we're just wanting to hold her and see her, and very quickly the nurses realized that something was happening. I don't think I realized that right away, and so they grabbed her and started just giving her oxygen and trying to suction out, because she wasn't really crying, wasn't really breathing correctly. Again, all things that I know now but didn't really realize at the beginning. It was very difficult to come to terms with what not only having a special needs daughter would look like, but one that has severe disabilities. Hi, my name is Joshua Shee. I'm from Colorado Springs, Colorado, and this is my story. So I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when I was probably about 15 years old. It didn't impact me the way that most people are impacted by Crohn's, but about a year later I was diagnosed with, after some routine checks, with extraintestinal Crohn's in my kidney. And so this autoimmune disease, which that is Crohn's, is attacking my kidneys so that it no longer can filter my blood correctly. So when I first got diagnosed, I'm a typical researcher, and so I went online, I read books, and all of those books were very grim. They didn't have a lot of hope in them. It was all just, this is what you can expect. You need to change your diet drastically. You need to do X, Y, and Z. I think early on I think I was either a freshman or sophomore in high school. It's devastating. I have all these plans for my life. I was a really good swimmer. I was good at sports, and all of a sudden I'm thinking to myself that this can't happen. I'm no longer going to be able to do this. My life is over. All my skills, whatever it looks like, is done. And so it definitely impacted me and my outlook. Fast forward over to college. Unbound taught me more than I ever realized about community. I was finally figuring out a little bit more how to express what was going on. At that point too, I had moved from just the Crohn's over to the kidney issues, and that was definitely more severe, and so spent a couple days in the hospital, high-dose steroids. If any of you've been on high-dose prednisone, it definitely messes with your mind a little bit, with your sleep. I didn't really want people to know. I wanted to come across as normal. I didn't want to burden them with my issues. I didn't want to go in front of people and tell them, hey, this is what I'm going through, and to have that awkward, I'm sorry, that sucks. Having my college community, just the close friends there, so shout out to Abe, shout out to Jared, Josh Ramundo, and many others, that they were the ones that were by me, telling me it's okay, Josh, just chill out, which I've definitely adopted in my life, and we're there to pray and encourage as well. In 2017, Jordyn and I met through what we called our student government. It was called Student Leadership Initiative, and so that year I was asked to be president and got the choice to pick my vice president. So of course Jordyn volunteered and another guy volunteered, and so I obviously picked the prettier and the one that I was more interested in out of the two. Sorry, Alex. We ended up organizing a trip out to Nashville. So partially because we wanted to have fun with our team and our friends, partially because I was wanting to kind of check this girl out in person, see how we interacted with each other. Needless to say, things went really well. We hit it off, and it was just a really great time. And fast forward over to 2019, we were getting married. So Jordyn and I moved out to Colorado on our own. We had no family here. My family was still out in Massachusetts. Jordyn's was in Texas, and so we were excited. We were newly married, and very quickly we realized that while we loved spending time together, we missed our friends. In-person community is so important, and so we prayed a lot for a long time, several months, Lord, please provide community. Please provide the people that we are gonna, raise our family with, and the people that are gonna encourage us here in this location. And so we ended up plugging in with church and building up our community, and God was very gracious just to bring people along in similar stages of life, people that loved the Lord and encouraged us, and really at the end of the day, the people that we would need for what was to come. So I remember praying. It was kind of like my secret prayer. I didn't tell Jordyn. I didn't mention it really to anybody, but between God and I prayed, Lord, if there's just one thing that you could do for me as a favor. I've already dealt with all this Crohn stuff. My kidneys are slowly failing. There's one thing you can do. I just ask that you not give me a special needs daughter or kid. And for me, it was definitely that I felt like I couldn't handle it. I was excited to have a family. I've always wanted to be a dad and to have kids, but there was already the fact of, am I prepared for this? Is my life going to be over? I remember lying in bed thinking that my life was over, that I wouldn't be able to travel anymore. I wouldn't be able to do the things that I wanted to do. And again, in the back, kind of in that secret place between me and God was that request of, if it's all possible, don't give me a special needs kid. I don't think I can handle it. So we had no idea that anything was happening with Evelyn, that she had special needs, that she had Emanuel syndrome, all the things that we knew now. We were just excited parents. At the beginning, I thought it was, this is my first kid. I thought this was kind of how it goes. It takes a little while to get the kid to cry, to breathe normally. But after about 10, 15 minutes or so, they're continuing to give her oxygen. They're monitoring her. Her breathing's not getting any better. They're calling in all the different doctors. We ended up, I went with Evelyn over to the ICU, the NICU, where they just did a whole bunch of different tests on Evelyn, trying to help her to oxygenate, have good O2 levels, figure out what was going on. And so for a week, we just kind of were sitting. Evelyn was more stable. It was a hard time to not take your daughter home. I mean, you make all these ideas in your mind of what it's going to be like to come home with your kiddo and show off to all of your family. This was also during COVID, and so a lot of our family couldn't join us in the hospital. There was a 2-visitor limit, and so that was Jordyn and I, or thankfully like Jordyn and one of our parents, or me and one of our parents. But my siblings didn't meet Evelyn right away. Our families didn't meet Evelyn right away. And so they just continued to do testing. They did genetic testing just in a panel of a lot of stuff. And I remember initially they came in and told us, hey, we think that your daughter has something called CHARGE syndrome. Most likely she'll be deaf. And me being the hopeful person I am, I'm definitely, glass half full, was telling Jordyn, hey, this is going to be all right. Our daughter can reach the deaf community. We'll learn sign language, all the different things. We're going to make it work, and kind of wrapped our minds around that fact, and found hope that, hey, you know what? This will be difficult, but we can still make it through. About 5 or 6 days later, the doctors came in, and I remember them telling us to, have a seat. We've got the genetic test results back, and Evelyn has a syndrome called Emanuel syndrome, which is a very, very rare syndrome. And he just started listing off all the different things that Evelyn wouldn't be able to do. So he told us that Evelyn would probably never walk, probably would never be verbal, that there was just going to be a lot of disabilities, that she, mental cognitive delays. And so that was really difficult to hear that your daughter will probably never tell you that she loves you. And so that hope that I usually have was crushed. I was angry. I definitely had my conversations with God and told him, hey, if we are here to serve you, to give purpose and to share your gospel, how does this work, right? Why would you allow my daughter, who probably will never talk, walk, all of that. How does that serve you? And so, yeah, it was very difficult to come to terms with what not only having a special needs daughter would look like, but one that has severe disabilities. I think thankfully I didn't know about the kidney transplant. Like, I wasn't really thinking about that. In my mind, I thought I was pretty stable. But the most difficult piece, is I mean, you're already, if any of you have become parents or in the process of becoming a parent, you know, like there's already those doubts. Hey, am I equipped? Am I equipped to handle another life, another child? Not only like with Evelyn, it wasn't only that. Now I'm asking myself, hey, can I handle a child? But can I handle a child that, you know, eventually she had her G-tube placed in, and then we went home and her airway got worse. So after 7 weeks, we ended up back in the hospital and in the ICU, so the PICU this time, the pediatric intensive care unit, and she had to have a trach placed, which requires a lot of care. It can be, if you have an easy access or direct access into your airway, there's just a lot of infections and different things that you need to deal with when it comes to that. So I think the hardest thing was definitely, one, I already feel ill-equipped. Two, now I have all this other stuff, these medical things that we have to figure out. During the time that we were dealing with everything concerning Evelyn and her health, Unbound, my college community, really taught me some really important lessons that helped me through that process. The biggest being, what does it mean to be a true friend? What does it mean to be open and honest and really just not sugarcoat life? When people ask you, how are you doing? It's okay to say, not good. I'm having a rough time. I remember back to one of the events that you do as a student called Capstone. It's with Dr. Jeff Myers. It teaches you about leadership. And in that Capstone course in Estes Park, actually here in Colorado, we had a project which was to tell your story. And tell your story in the realm of creation, fall, redemption. And I remember just being blown away by my willingness to share, other people's willingness to share, and that really started to reshape my mindset around community. Community isn't just the people that you have fun with. It's not just the good times. Real, true community are the people that stick with you through the good things, through the hard things, the people that you can be honest with, the people that you can laugh with, the people you can cry with. Through Capstone, and really just the relationships that I built there and how it helped me build relationships outside of that college community and just start those little conversations about how people were really actually feeling and doing. It helped me realize that it's okay. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be good. And that those deeper friendships really form when you can start talking about those hard things that you're going through in life. My road to surgery was definitely a long one. In 2022, after we had dealt with everything with Evelyn, kind of felt like we were in a good place. I finally focused back on my health, checked in, and my doctor basically let me know that with the trajectory that I was on and the way that my kidney function was decreasing, that I would need a kidney transplant by the end of the year. And so we explored a lot of different options. Should we do the kidney transplant here? Should we do it closer to family in Massachusetts or in Texas? And who's gonna be the donor? Are we gonna be able to find the match? And so thankfully, my brother was a match for me during that time too, just realizing how many people truly were willing to put their friendship and love into action. I mean, there were so many people that were, hey, sign me up to be put on the list. I'm willing to give up my kidney to go through a hard surgery. And so ended up deciding to go out to Massachusetts. We road tripped actually, so we packed Evelyn in the car, pretty much our life for what we were thinking would be a couple months. It ended up being 4 months, but packed up our life and drove from Colorado all the way out to Massachusetts. At that point, was ready. I was ready for a kidney transplant. I was experiencing a lot of gout and fatigue, and just everything would tire me out so quickly. And so most of the times I would come home from work and immediately just go lie down on the couch or lie down in bed and pass out for an hour or two. There just wasn't any energy. Plus the gout, if none of you experienced that, was extremely painful. So half the month I'm laid up in bed, just trying to make work from while in pain and just in my bed. During the summer, right before my transplant, our college community has something called Apex. Apex is a national student event, so students, alumni, they all come together to learn, to grow with each other, to have fun, and every year they actually invite alumni speakers to talk on a certain topic. And so that last year's was basically story. And after much pestering from Abe, decided that even though it was right before my surgery, that we had a story to tell. Jordyn and I had a story to tell about Evelyn, about sharing. Our topic was actually sharing your hard stories with community. We were a little hesitant to go because we had been alumni for a very long time. We were in completely different seasons of life, but thought it was important enough, and we really felt like God was telling us, hey, let's go and share the story, let's go and show up. And so we showed up at Apex, we went up on stage. I'm so proud of my wife. She's not a public speaker. I dragged her into this initially, it was just gonna be me, but we really opened up a little bit earlier of what you guys heard about with Evelyn's story. And so we shared that, we shared why it's important to share your hard stories with community, the whys that we tell ourselves to not share those stories. And at the end of the event, something amazing happened. Jonathan, who is the CEO of the company Unbound, he got up and he knew that I was about to head off to my kidney transplant. Very few people at that event actually knew, and so he stood up and basically challenged the community to be a blessing and to come and show up and be that true community for Jordyn and I. And so we were renting out our home, this home actually that we're filming in, out on Airbnb to help cover some costs while we were away for so long. And Abe created a video, and the students came together and really blessed us. They blessed us with either coming out here and booking our home or simply just monetarily. And so to that community, I don't think I've said this yet, but thank you. You guys made such a huge difference, and something that could have been one of the major stressors into something that we didn't even have to think about. And I think the thing that struck me most was that complete strangers, people that I didn't even really know, new students, right, that I hadn't talked to, or old friends that I hadn't talked to in a really long time, that when you share your story, when you're open, when you're able to be authentic, these people that would be total strangers become your friends, they become your community, and they surround you with that love. Surgery day came around finally for my transplant, and the scariest thing that was going through my brain, I think it all became real really about 2 days, maybe the day before surgery, is, yeah, this is actually happening. Hey, what if something does go wrong? I'm leaving my special needs daughter and my wife, and really trying to trust God through the fact that, my life is in your hands. So I remember waking up from the surgery after a couple hours, just all hopped up on the medication, on the anesthesia, and telling Jordyn that, wow, this was a piece of cake. This was, this is 10 times better than the gout pain that I was going through. And that night, realizing after everything wore off that, this hurts. It's a pretty big scar. And so, they have you walking so you can prevent blood clots. But, up and walking that first night, and it took a while to recover, but honestly, it wasn't as bad as I had envisioned it. Like after about 3 weeks, I was feeling really good. So now, after the kidney transplant, I'm feeling a million times better. Life has kind of settled down. It feels like it's a new season that I am honestly enjoying. And so as we look into what community looks like now that all of this has somewhat passed, I think the biggest thing now is not just sharing my story and sharing those hard things that are going on, but now truly listening and asking what other people are going through. And so reaching out to, whether it's young adults at church, whether it's friends in our community that might be going through a tough time. Daily life can be hard. And so we're excited now, since we've been blessed, and again, reaching this new season of life, then to go out and teach other people. Your story doesn't have to be finished. There's beauty in letting people into the story, whether it's at the beginning or the middle, and it's okay and it's good. And I think you'll find a richness in your relationships, a depth in your relationships, simply even by saying, when somebody asks you, how are you doing? Just truly just telling them, how are you actually doing? And being real about that. If you're a special needs family that is, or you're a mom or dad that is going through something similar, first off, I wanted to tell you that I understand. It's hard. There are more bad days than good days sometimes. And most importantly, that's okay. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to invite community in. It's okay to say, hey, I'm having a bad day. Can you just come over and be with me? It's okay to have that time, those awkward moments when somebody asks you how you're doing and you tell them. It's okay, because at the end of the day, we need it. We can't do it alone. I just wanted to say thank you so much to our families. You guys are fantastic. Our families here in Colorado, our family through Unbound, our college community, my family of friends that I grew up with from childhood. You guys know who you are, and we couldn't have done this without you guys. And so if this story has impacted you, touched you, please leave a like below. It really helps this channel out. Comment, let me know what your thoughts are on this story if you're going through something similar. And most importantly, share it with somebody that you know that might be going through something similar. It doesn't have to be the same thing, but something hard, if you feel like this would encourage them. So thank you guys so much.